the Knitting Samurai, and we're gonna go for it. So it is episode 142, I think, and it is a Monday morning. It's super windy here. I hope you guys, I'm not killing your ears, and let me know if you hate the sunglasses. I'll never ever do it again. But I'm looking directly at the sun. It is a gorgeous day. It's 58 degrees, Tish. And it's November 2nd, and I thought we'd sneak in one more outside recording. So I know we were supposed to be in New York, and no one's more disappointed about that than me. My dad got pneumonia and was hospitalized for 4 days with that, and so we couldn't take off and leave the boys with my mom, and this is when siblings would be really helpful. But I don't have any, so and I just didn't feel comfortable leaving them for 3 days with some of our friends. Like, it just felt like a little too much to ask. Wow, it is really windy out here. This might be the only piece that you get to see outside. Yeah, so anyways, my dad was in the hospital until Saturday. He's doing really well now, thank you for asking. But it took several antibiotics to get the infection under control and to get his fever down, and he was having really bad migraines. And this is not a show about my dad's health, this is a show about knitting. But in the midst of all that, I ended up staying home with the boys, and we had a great weekend together, the three of us. But Steve ran the marathon yesterday. He did very well. He didn't do as well as he would have liked, but I'm very proud of him. He finished it. And not that there was any doubt that he would finish it, but yeah, he just did great. And so it would have been fun to be there with him and to go to a show and do all the New Yorkie things, but it just means we'll get a rain date and we won't have to run a marathon. We'll go do something, go away for mom and dad weekend and leave the boys with my parents who are doing better now, or my dad is doing better. So let's talk about knitting, shall we? I have a lot of things inside,
and I'm sorry about that, but I'm sure your ears are not. I love recording outside in the bright sunshine, and you know, there's an energy to being outdoors that the podcast just doesn't have from static indoor white walls, but it was just too windy. So let's talk about some knitting, shall we? And I think I tried to say it before. This is episode 142. So first up, I have a finished blocked, all seam together with buttons, Provence baby cardigan. So this is by Cicely Glowick McDonald in Barocco Vintage. And the color is 5122, and it took about 5 years. Let's see, I cast it on in May of 2011, and I finished in October of 2015. So this is done. Knit on US size 6s, 4mm needles. I believe this is the 18-month size. Cute little lace detail right there on the front panel, which was the reason to knit it. I would give this pattern, although there's nothing wrong with it, it just took me so incredibly long to knit it that I would score this probably a 50. Pattern's written fine, I just didn't enjoy knitting it, right? If I did, I would have finished it in less than a month because of the size. That's what it should have taken. So the fact that it took so long, don't really love the pattern. Let's see, I have a whole bag of goodies because I packed everything up to take out and share with you. So Anders sweaters progress, right? Let's talk about this. So the two of those that are on the needles, this is Roland's, and I'm just gonna quickly show it. This is by Soren Kerr, and it's a fingering weight sweater pattern that I'm using worsted weight to knit. I've finished the body and a sleeve, and I have about 5 inches to go on the second sleeve, and it's just a slog at this point. I'm not really enjoying knitting the sleeves, so I'm kind of forcing myself to do it. I am using the construction of the Anders, A-N-D-E-R, pattern, and then the measurements of Tin Can Knits Flax pattern, which is a pullover basic sweater pattern, just because I wanted to use worsted weight yarn and I wanted the stitch counts and I didn't want to have to do math. So it's a hybrid of those two, and it's with Leading Men Fiber Arts in the Dames at Sea colorway, and then the white, the cream, is Nude Sea. So that is Roland's. It's almost done. It'll be for Thanksgiving for sure. And then Tristan's is done. So I've knit. If you're new to the show, that was my third. This is my fourth one of these sweaters I've knit. Yes, I know. I really like knitting it. So this is the one I cast on for a friend who someday. Anyways, so I finished the body, and this is Louette Gems in the sport weight, 225 yards per skein, and I ran out. So I got this at Webb's. It's a discontinued color, so I got it at a really great price. If you're looking for some of this, I think it's like 60% off. So I ordered a second skein of this, and then I used the Leading Men Fiber Arts. Wait, is it callback? Yeah, callback. The worsted weight is dramaturg, and the sport weight is callback for the cream color on this as well. So I stopped. I could have gone to the end of the little skein, but just in case they're different dye lots, I want to be able to alternate skeins. So I saved a little teeny bit to do with that. And this is knit on US size 4s, 3.5mm needles. And I have the buttons already, and I just love this pattern. I can't say enough how much I love it. So those are going on. Yay! More color work to come for sure. You want to do a color work knit along? I'm also mulling around the idea of, every time I need to move forward, I'm hitting the pot. I'm mulling around the idea of, it's November, crazy hair, right? Yeah. It's November, and it's November 2nd, and I have the day off, and I could really jump into knitting myself a sweater for the month. Thinking about it. I have to decide. I'll have decided by lunchtime if I'm gonna knit a sweater for me or not. Speaking of which, this is the Grace. It's by Jane Richmond. I knit mine worsted weight, and I messed up the stitch pattern, so it shouldn't actually look like this, but I left it. It looks less, it's offset, I think, but my hands, I went into autopilot when I was knitting this part, the yoke part of this sweater, and so my brain just automatically lined up the yarn over so that they would be symmetrical, make this shape, and that's not the way the pattern's written, and I decided to just let it go rather than ripping it back. So it's a heavily modified Grace. These sleeves are just past my elbows here, and I really like them for around the house. It's a perfect around the house length. The yarn is a tacky Stacey Charles. I'll have links in the show notes. It's several different things, and it's not, I want to say it's mainly an acrylic, and it maybe has some wool and silk in it. If I had my phone, I would look it up. But it's definitely next to Skin Soft, which is why I'm saying that. So I discontinued yarn though. But I really like it. This is another one that I suck at buttons. Like, really, my button bands leave a lot to desire. Leave a lot. Yeah, I think these are too heavy, and that's what's making it look like that. I don't know. I struggle with the notion of taking classes, just because, like, technique classes, I'm good on color work, intarsia, entrelac. I could do all of those things, but sock construction, shawl construction, those are all fine. But man, if I could get a button band right, that would be awesome. So if you're a designer and you want to do a craftsy class on button bands, ping me. Because I will pay for it. I will pay top dollar to figure out how to make a button band that doesn't do this. Because I feel like every sweater I knit does that. And if you've been knitting for a while or are new and have some advice, please come over to the boards and share it with me, because it's so sad. I finished these two gorgeous sweaters and the button bands are just, oh. Also, there's so much positive ease in this sweater. It's another one that I finished it well after, but seriously, I can do that. Like, there's a lot of, which is fine. It's a look that I could go for. I need to wear a more fitted top underneath. I think that would help minimize. It's a very short, hits me on my high hip. I was big on Amy Herzog's classes when I was thinking about this, and so it hits me high and it's square, so it's definitely not the most flattering sweater I own, and I haven't worn it to work yet just because this button band is like so embarrassing, and everyone will then ask you, oh, did you make that? Because they all know I'm a knitter, and there's nothing that bothers me more than being asked if I made something. I'm so vain. Things to work on in life, you know. I just spent the morning visiting with my dad and my mom, and we had apple pie for breakfast. My mom made an apple pie. It's my dad's probably his favorite food, with a nice slice of sharp cheddar on top. Oh, it's so good. Which is funny because neither of my parents like it with cheese on top. They're both like apple pie and ice cream, so they didn't have ice cream for breakfast, obviously. But I love it with the cheese. Am I from Vermont? Am I adopted? Anyway, so we were just having a nice chat, and we were talking about school districts and, you know, trying to balance extracurricular stuff with school districts, and, you know, just thinking through what's best for my boys, because we're about to make a major life change, moving, and making sure we pick the right place to get them. And, you know, it's good to pick my parents' brains. And my dad made this really funny comment about the way he was raised out in the country, and I've been a townie kid my whole life, so is my mom. And so he was saying, well, for a country kid, I turned out pretty good, I think. The jury's still out, and we were laughing because it's like, Dad, you're 62. And he's probably one of the wisest people I know. So I'm always happy to hear his opinions because he is not all that verbose. So anyways, I don't know why I felt the need to tell you about my dad. Something about, yeah. Oh, me being from, I don't. Oh, this is a Stephanie after a time change and 2 little boys. They did okay. I kept them both up half an hour later, thinking that, you know, we'll work our way back to 7 o'clock bedtime by the end of the week. So I kept them up a little later. They got up a little bit earlier than normal, not bad, but I'm home alone, right? Steve's in New York, and what do I decide to watch before I go to bed? I'm sorry, I'm digressing, but I just have to share this with you because it was so classic Stephanie, poor choices. I decide that, oh, the 3rd Hobbit movie streaming, and Steve is too much of a Hobbit fan to watch them. Okay, we saw the first 2 in the theaters, and I was mortified because he booed at the end of the movie. If it's not exactly the story as he loved it as an 11-year-old, he wasn't going to like it anyways. He loved the Lord of the Rings movies. He was not emotionally tied to those books, or that book, the way he was to The Hobbit. So I get why he could not just step back and enjoy the movie for what it was. It's a fantasy story about wizards and dragons. Like, let's just enjoy it. But anyways, so the 3rd one is streaming. He's not here. Perfect. I'll watch it. So I'm watching it, and I get tired. I'm home alone. I'm sleeping with the downstairs lights on in the house, just the entryway light and the stove light. And the boys are tucked in. They've been asleep for a while, so I go to bed. Well, I'll fall asleep with the TV on. I do that all the time. So I fall asleep to the sounds of orcs and war, right? It's a battle of the 5 armies, if you're familiar with the story. So I fall asleep to that in my ears. No thought about what that's going to do to my dreams. Hello? So I'm dreaming about battling orcs. And then during the night, Matt goes out, and at the top of the stairs, at the end of the hall, down the hall from our bedroom, there's a scratch post, and he's a big cat. And he got some real good leverage on that, and he was scratching at the top, putting his claws in and dragging him down. And when he does that, the whole, you could picture a scratch post, right? Like this, and it's got the square base. The whole thing would tip up and then go back and hit the wall. So he did that like 3 or 4 times, and I woke up like from sound asleep. I'm a real light sleeper anyways. Woke up, oh my God, the orcs are coming. I was so freaked out. So freaked out. So I laid there for like half an hour, calm down, okay, it's fine. The orcs are not coming to get us. We'll be fine. Well, I can't go back to sleep. I'm awake. I finished watching my movie, so I turned this stupid thing back on. Proceed with more orc dreams. Oh, silly Stephanie. So, let's talk some more about knitting. Let's see, Franken fingers. Those are back out in action, and I was actually knitting the fingers while I was talking with my folks this morning. So please excuse my ends, but the first one, except for ends, is done. Oh, I look like I have some weird growth here. So this is a Elizabeth Green Musselman pattern, and I used Opal, where is it on my notes? 8120, it's in the show notes. And I was trying to count my rows to make sure that my fingers ended up the same length, but I could see that this blue finger is slightly shorter than the green and the orange and yellow, but that's okay with me. I don't mind, I don't mind. I much prefer, okay, so here's my critique of the pattern. I thought she was a little crazy telling me to knit ribbed fingers, right? To keep the patterning of the 2x2 rib on the actual fingers of the mitts themselves. But the minute I put them on and they're super snug around each finger and they're gonna be really warm, like my hand's already getting warm in them, it's perfect, it's perfect. This is the third pair of fingerless mitts, like with fingers. I don't know what that's called. It needs to be a thing that I've knit, and these fit much better. The ones that are straight stockinette around each finger have been loose. So I really like how fitted that is. The thumb turned out great. And please excuse all these ends. Oh, they're hanging on my side. So I love the way that looks. This bunchy bit is a little too loose for me. I feel like maybe I didn't knit the correct size. I usually knit a woman's large or men's medium for my hand size. I have large hands. Size 11 feet, I wear I think an 8 for my jewelry, for my ring fingers. So yeah, but I feel like this is a bit too big. Maybe my wrists aren't as big as my hands, my massive paws. But there's the first one. So yay, half done. The second one, have I started? I have. Look at that. All right, I'm further than I thought. I have started my thumb increases and I'm probably about to break off. So I would say I'm about at the bottom of this blue stripe right there. So yay, that's going. What else has been in action? So I went to Rhinebeck and I loved the sock yarn blank. I showed it to you. I couldn't wait. I had to cast it on. So this is Gail's Art Special Secret Sock Blank in the color Christmas Tree. And I'm knitting it on US zeros because I'm a loose knitter to begin with. And that's how it looks so far. I have to tell you, I'm not a fan of the wonky fabric. I'm really not. As someone with a loose gauge, it's making me really nervous. So I'm so hopeful that when I block them, wash them, block them, put them on blockers, they'll all even out and it'll be nice. But I love the dots, the little red peaks coming through. Looks so pretty. So there's what I am. I really hope I don't end up with the heel in the white part. We'll see. Looks to me like I'm about 2 inches from heel construction. So, but isn't it exciting? Oh, sock blank. It's all gonna depend on if this washes out or blocks out to be flat, if I do this again. So, but I do really like, because I tension my yarn around this finger. So I'll pull, knit, right? That's my motion. And I love the like, knit, knit, as you pull off a row. So that is going along very well. And shh, don't tell me, I'm not even thinking about the fact that there's a sock on my needles. What else? We already talked about this. I think I have to put things away. Oh, that just takes us to the one last thing that there is. And that is Barn Raising Quilt Square. You haven't seen this in a while. So I finished one, which added to my pile to make 4. So I'm going to share 4 of them with you. So this is, I knit an easy with this. Wait, it'll come back. Done roving and frolicking feet in the apple picking colorway. So there's that one. It's crazy bright. And then there's this one, which is Tan, Rested, and Relaxed by White Birch Fiber Arts. you've seen this. I've knit this in a lot of projects, and I knit the square before I knit the project so that I was sure to have a square. I think I did do a baby sweater with this, so yay, that one can come out. And then this one is Into the World Quaro sock. I just looked up the color. Winds of Change. Winds of Change. There we go. Knit a baby sweater with this and some hats. So that one. And then this looks very familiar because it's the fingerless mitts I'm knitting right now, which is an opal sock. So there we go. Those 4 are back in action, and I have this one on the needles. These are some socks I knit for my bestie. And this one on the needles, which I broke off some of this skein and sent it to Heather for a swap. So I wanted to have, ooh, sorry. Please excuse my strands. I wanted to have one of those in my blanket. So there we go. And I have 2 more in there, so I'll show you 4 more finished squares when they're done. So Barn Raising Quilt is by Lorsa Brown and Shelly Mackey, and I am knitting mine on US size 2s, 2.75 millimeter needles, and I want to say I have well over 40. I use Tristan's blanket all the time. Did I tell you that? It's sitting on the couch, the one I knit for him. That's probably 3 by 4 feet, so it's definitely a lap blanket. It's not big enough to cover the full length of me, but it's on the couch waiting for me to weave in all my ends. And I don't mind if there are ends. So in the evenings after the boys go to bed, I've been using it, which I should make myself. Every time I use it, do 5. I had done, do 5 ends. There's a lot of ends to weave in. So, oh, there goes a big tree cutting truck. Yeah, so, but I really love the weight. It is like, fingering weight blanket is so light, it doesn't weigh you down, and it's so warm. So that's that. Boy Ventures for this week. Let's see, while we were alone, we played some soccer on those ball fields that I was at earlier in the show. Here's some footage from there. My friends, should we do a Mission 2015 update? So good to put up with me. You really are. Thank you so much for subscribing on YouTube. We're up to I think 145 subscribers. When we get to 200, I will definitely do a skein of Into the World, a giveaway. So if you watch on YouTube, go subscribe. And when we get there, I'll do a giveaway. So, excuse me. So, 2015 update, sorry. Let's see, 12 pairs of socks. So I stopped at 7, but maybe I'll get to 8. 3 years to build a barn raising quilt. So I'm shooting for 16 to 12 squares. And with those, I've now gotten to 16. Woo, done, accomplished for the year. 3 sweaters for me. I'm wearing one of the 3 that I have, so that's done. So it's 2 out of the 3 accomplished already. Woo! Sweaters for the boys. Tristan's is done. Roland's needs 5 inches and then it'll be done. And with less, oh, that's the hard one. It's so the hard one. So I started with 29 projects on the needles, UFOs and active, and I wanted to get to 15, and I am very pleased to say that after frogging the arm warmers, finishing the Provence, let's see what else. I think that's it. So those 2 things, I am down to 15 projects on the needles. I did it. And I'm not gonna lie that 2 days ago when I wrote my show notes, I contemplated casting on a new project. But I really want to enjoy being at 15, and so that's really pushing me to finish the fingerless mitts and Roland sweater. And the yarn should be here from Webs any day now, so I can finish that other Anders sweater. And I'm getting there. So it feels really good not to have that massive bit. So yay to that. In terms of stash, I'm just gonna say that I'm not gonna end with less. I know I'm not. So I am up 6 and something miles. Now, if I didn't buy any more yarn for the rest of the year, I could probably get that down to 3 miles more added to stash than last January, which would be a banner year for me in terms of I've never done less than 10 miles. 10 miles. Like, one year I think I did 17 miles I added to the stash. Like, so I've made progress. I'm gonna spin that and make it positive, even though I won't actually end with less, but I'm in the right direction. So hopefully next year I can get there, and who knows, if I do a sweater in November, for me, that would be almost 1,500, 2,000 yards. So we'll see. That's a mile, by the way. So that's my update, right? Right. Okay, so you can find more episodes if you enjoyed this. You can find You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on WordPress.com, knittingsamuraiinnerguys.wordpress.com. You can find me on iTunes. You can subscribe there. And you can also find a group on Ravelry to share what we're knitting and thinking about and doing. So that's it. I hope you have a great 10 days or so until we talk again. Are you thinking about Christmas knitting? Have you noticed a distinct lack in Christmas knitting in me? I know. I don't have it in me. I knit my mom a pair of socks already. Steve doesn't really wear them. Yeah, I'm just not feeling it this year. Who knows what I'll do for the teachers. I need to figure that out though. I really do. So